Hello, how's it going? So, I decided to make a short story by the name of Refugee for my workshop. Right, so let me just give a quick summary of it. Um, I personally like to do stories that are, historical fiction. So I like to, have like real life events, dealing with, wars or maybe, a time period of the government or, something to do with history, but then also adding, that fictional part of, these fictional characters that may have lived in that time period, but you do their point of views and their experiences, right? So the summary, right? This short story is called Refugee, so you would have guessed it's about a refugee. It's a boy. I have not named him yet, but he is living in a refuge camp that is controlled by some military right now. And he's living there with his mother and father, right? So it's kind of, think of it as like 1940s type, ghettos of World War II, entrapments of like Jews inside those, and how life would have been right there for some background imagery on it. I started off by, him, messing around in the camp and then getting in trouble by his parents. Uh, the kid eventually just decides to, hey, I'm gonna leave this place and I don't really care, I can't be here. And he decides to, head to the checkpoint and like leave the entrapment camp. So as he's going, he runs away from his family, and eventually he turns around and he sees his father still following him. So the story continues with just him and his father at that point. They get to the checkpoint, and the checkpoint, there's a guard that allows people to exit the camp, which was not like how it was in real life, but that's where I kind of put like a little play into it. His father, or he's at the checkpoint, and the thing with this camp, fictional camp, is that they don't really let you leave with any food from inside the camp. So the guard begins to search him, and then eventually finds that he is hiding food with him to leave the camp with. And instead of him getting caught and dealing with that, I kind of made the guard more of um, a benefit to him. Kind of putting into play that in real life, there were Nazis that you know were not as bad as the majority of them were, and so I still cared about human life a bit. So I kind of made that guard in that perspective. So he notices the food in him and decides, hey, I'm not gonna say anything, and he just lets him through, as well as his dad, right? And at the whole, this whole time, the kid is feeling, nervous, like he knows he's gonna get caught. I try to add a little bit of imagery in that, how it would feel to feel that anxiety on him. Um, as they leave the camp, I try to draw this picture of them walking in the street with um, two walls on each side. So one wall right here, one wall right here in the street in the middle, and then barbed wire all over the walls and on top. So it's kind of like a one-way road that they're heading in. And to show it kind of various, like dystopian type of view, like it's not, even though they're leaving this camp that's really bad, they're not going anywhere better. If anything, they're going to places worse than that camp. And at that point when they're walking down the road, I just narrating, in the mind of the child, him asking himself, why am I leaving this safety? Why is my father coming with me? And you know, kind of getting into his thoughts, everything that just happened, processing everything that just happened. And eventually they get to a fork in the road that goes either, left or right. And he decides that, again, both sides, they're both walls. Like they both still have walls with barbed wire on top. So, it's not really there. It's a choice, but, he doesn't know which way each one is. And eventually he just decides to go left. And that's all I've written for it so far. I actually have like other ideas built into it that I'm, thinking of writing to continue the story. But I just didn't want to keep writing, a lot in the short story if, it's supposed to be a short story. I don't wanted to write a whole 3 or 4 page essay if that's not what it was needing to be. Right. So what inspired this text? I'm really interested in history, World War II times, times with the Nazis and the Jews, and it just fascinates me that how they treated people back then. So I kind of wanted to make, a perspective of how I would have seen a child like would be, in a fictional world in that time, much more, severe than how it was in real life. What surprised you while you were writing the text? I think what surprised me the most was just how easy it was just coming to me. Just I was able to just like think of the next thing to write right there. And I think the hard part is just actually, writing it out. It's easy to think about the things in my head, but it's hard to like actually put it on the paper and try to like provide enough imagery for the reader to actually understand the scene and things. So what aspect of the test posed the greatest challenge? So, like I just said, is the scenes. Like I think of all these scenes, like the street with the barbed wire, that's really hard to imagine because we don't see streets like that here. We don't, majority of people have not seen a street like that. So it's kind of hard to imagine, just like one-way street with just huge walls and then barbed wire on each side. It's kind of simple to, think about, but it's kind of hard if you haven't really seen anything like that before, so it's kind of hard to view those things, imagine those things in your head. What success resulted from this text? All of it, like the whole text just is like amazes me, like how it's like flowing together as like, kind of almost like a movie script. It looks promising, and I just like I said, I already have it. Like the next question says, where do you see it evolving? Like I already have the next scenes already written, but not in a paragraph form or anything like that. So I already see the boy, after choosing that he goes left, going to a city, dealing with the militia that's in the city, that's the same, that's in control of the camp, the entrapment camp that he left. While in the city, the fate of his father, ends up in his hands because of the soldiers in it, and like the discrimination that they deal with. His own life at the end gets at stake. Him leaving the city, and much more in it. I already have a few layers to it. I haven't written it because I didn't know how long it was supposed to be. 3 questions I have is probably one is, how good is the imagery? Can you really see the scenes that I've depicted? Or maybe I should work on that a little bit, try to spend more time in each scene, making it a little bit bigger. I think that would work. Making the image a little bit bigger in our heads. Question 2 is the character development. How, how do you think the character development is? Like, I know I've put a lot of thought into the boy, and not as much thought as into the father, because I tried to make, the main, character to be the boy, but should I put more thought into the father? um should I put more thought into, the family that he left behind? Because, I guess the way I was seeing it is, most movies, um they really only put, character development into a certain few, so that the movie doesn't like go as long. So that's kind of what I was basing this off of, is, I don't really want to put so much, emphasis on the mother or whoever else in the camp if they're not going to be there for the majority of the short story. And I guess the last one is, if you have any ideas on where it should go, I'd love to hear them. um it's a it's a weird topic to talk about, and I can take this story anywhere. I do feel like it's a little bit more PG, you know, more PG-13 than PG-13. Um, so I'm not sure if, I should tone that down a little bit, or just, keep going at it. No cuss words or anything are said in it, but, there is like death inside of it and stuff that I've been thinking about. And I think that's just kind of what makes the story good, is those tragedies that are built into it. So yeah, read Refugee, and tell me what y'all think about it. And if you want me to finish or keep going, I'll be glad to do it.